Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's dive into a situation that's equal parts family drama and boundary-breaking chaos. Imagine trying to relax in your own home, but every few days your brother-in-law shows up uninvited, eats your food, takes over your couch, and brings along the unmistakable scent of, well, death by feet. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The uninvited house guest who just won't leave. My husband has no backbone, otherwise a fantastic man. His brother's been coming and staying at our place literally whenever he wants to. He doesn't even ask, it just shows up with his crap like he owns the place. I wouldn't tolerate this from my own family whom I love, so I'm not about to tolerate it from an in-law. Not saying he's a bad guy, he just has no respect for boundaries in the slightest. Eating our food, crashing on our couch, taking up a crap ton of space because his backpack always has clothes overflowing in it to common areas. Not to mention his feet are literally the smell of death, and it's nauseating. My husband has complained several times about it, says he's effing fed up with the fact that his brother can't even be bothered to ask to come over and just shows up. Says he's absolutely sick of constantly dealing with it, and at least once a week says he'll have a talk with his brother on at least asking first prior to coming over. Admittedly, the big issue is we like sleeping in our birthday suits. I have a thyroid probably and sweat like there's no tomorrow if I'm covered at all, and we can't do that with his brother here. So most nights it's extremely uncomfortable for me, especially because this is my effing house. However, with that said, my husband does absolutely nothing about it, complains endlessly to me, but never has the talk with his brother outside of one single time recently where his brother called and I heard my husband say something to the effect of, "We haven't had alone time in almost 2 weeks, so we are just irritated." I later found out his brother asked what was wrong, and this was what my husband said in response. So it was a hint at best, but something even I would have fully understood. Regardless, his brother showed up here yesterday around dinner time, takes a shower, eats our food, etc. I'm pissed at this point. I felt like crap for a week and don't want company, so I kept dropping comments. "You gonna go pick me up some wine on your dollar since you ate my food and used my hot water? You gonna help with our electric bill since you're here at least 3 days a week?" Stuff like that. Never once yelling or being ignorant beyond what I've mentioned above. He has his own place, no reason to be here. He ends up saying things like, "You have an effing problem and that's not my problem," or "This is my brother's house. If he doesn't want me here, then he needs to tell me." It's my house. I bought it, but I've never pulled that argument because my husband has been on the mortgage since 6 months ago, and it's his house too, and I 100% agree with brother-in-law. My husband should be the one to tell him, but he doesn't. So basically, he called me a bee for deliberately making him uncomfortable, and I said, "Oh, you're uncomfortable? Good. I'm glad you are, because that's how it feels to me whenever you walk into this house unannounced." My husband said I was too harsh. ETA, my husband is incredibly uncomfortable with anyone going against his family. Therefore, to respect him and his wishes, I've not spoken up until yesterday. Husband also has severe survivor's guilt due to his brother's manipulation. They were in foster care and his brother got treated like garbage, where my husband was treated like gold. My brother-in-law has pulled the "you owe me because I took the fall for you so many times and saved you from the same crap I went through" lines. He keeps coming because OP feeds him and cleans up after him. She should put food on lockdown and only allow him to use paper plates and disposable cutlery. OP should also only make food for herself and husband, and if husband gives her any crap, no more food for him either until he puts his foot down. And our second story. How not to renew your membership. A masterclass in rudeness. Background. I'm a cashier/self-checkout attendant at a membership-based warehouse store. I've been at this job for 2 years in July, so I'd like to think I know the policies pretty well as how to explain things to people. Cast. Me, RG, rude guy, NL, nice lady. Another woman in line who happens to be the mother of someone I've known since elementary school, now in college. The story. Tonight, I was on a register 5 minutes after closing, myself and 2 others taking care of the line of last-minute shoppers as fast as possible. Anyway, RG is next in line. I scan his membership card and my register says, "Card expired, renew now/surcharge will apply." At my store, since a membership is required, a 20% surcharge is added to anyone's total whose card is either expired or wants to shop as a non-member. Me. It says here that your card's expired. RG. Well, what am I supposed to do? You're closed, right? Me. It'd be $55 to renew for the year, but you could choose not to renew your card today. There will be a 20% surcharge on your bill. RG. Give me my card. Leaving his items, he storms away. I turn to the next customer and start helping her. She laughs with me and asks if he's leaving. I look down the front line and see that he's stopped at customer service. Great. A few minutes later, he comes back and cuts off NL. When it's his turn, he gives me his card again. RG, customer service said you should have renewed it for me. I thought I'd made it clear what his options were at the register. Looking back, I could have probably been more explicit, but he never asked whether or not he could renew at the register, so I assumed he wasn't interested when he yelled and then stormed away. Also, a note about me, I'm not the most confrontational, and sometimes when I get flustered, I stumble over my words a little. This happened here. Me, I apologize, sir. I was going to say I didn't realize what I said was unclear, but he cut me off. RG, in a mocking voice, oh, I apologize. No, how about you learn how to do your job? You should be fired. At this point, I've lost all respect for the guy, and I'm honestly kind of hurt. I can't control that I occasionally stutter when I'm flustered, and it doesn't happen often at all. I decided to keep my mouth shut because I know that any response I have will just escalate the situation further. It's also 15 minutes past closing at this point, and I'm really not in the mood to have an argument. Bonus. For some reason, RG stuck around after his transaction was done, possibly to look for a manager to complain to. Before he gives up on that, one of my coworkers walks by and asks me if I'm working on Saturday. She wanted to switch shifts. Me, yeah, I am. RG, maybe. Of course, implying I'd be fired before then. This part didn't even make me mad. It was just hilarious to me. Anyway, after he left, I had a good laugh with NL, who saw everything and has known me for years. She brightened my mood quite a bit after RG almost ruined my day. When they bring out the fired/job loss card at all, let alone that quickly, that's the tip-off. They're very unstable, and you can honestly push your luck with these people because managers know they're nuts and you probably didn't do anything wrong to begin with. And our last story. How I reclaimed my driveway from my entitled neighbor. I live in a suburban neighborhood where the houses are relatively close together. My next-door neighbor's property is set slightly behind mine with a narrow, awkward driveway that makes it tough for them to maneuver their oversized SUV. One day, they came to me with a polite request. Could they temporarily use my driveway to park their car and make getting to their house easier? At first, I was hesitant, but wanted to be neighborly. I figured it wouldn't hurt to let them use my driveway occasionally, so I agreed, thinking it would be a short-term arrangement. What started as an occasional favor quickly spiraled into a frustrating situation. Their car was no longer just temporarily parked in my driveway, it was there all the time. Worse, their friends and family began treating my driveway like their personal parking lot. One weekend, I came home to find 3 cars crammed into my driveway, completely blocking access to my garage. When I knocked on their door, my neighbor greeted me with a friendly smile, completely oblivious to how inconvenient this had become. I politely asked them to move the cars, but I could see the irritation creeping into their expression. "Oh, sorry about that," they said, not sounding particularly apologetic. "We just had some guests over and it's easier to park here." "It's becoming difficult for me to use my own driveway," I replied, trying to keep my frustration in check. "I need you to stop using it like it's an extension of your property." They assured me it wouldn't happen again, but the very next day, their SUV was parked there again, this time blocking my morning exit. I ended up late to work. After several more incidents, I decided enough was enough. I knocked on their door again, this time prepared to set firm boundaries. "I need to talk to you about the driveway situation," I said. "What now?" my neighbor asked, crossing their arms defensively. I agreed to let you use it occasionally, but it's gotten out of hand. I can't even access my own garage half the time. I'm sorry, but I need you to stop using my driveway entirely." They looked genuinely offended. "Are you serious? Do you know how hard it is for us to park in our own driveway? We have kids, you know." "I understand that," I said, "but this is my property. I've tried to accommodate you, but this isn't working. I need my driveway to be clear, and I need you to respect that." Their friendly demeanor vanished. "Wow, I can't believe you're being so selfish about this. We're neighbors. You should want to help us out." "I've already helped," I said firmly. "I've been more than fair, but this arrangement is over." That weekend, I came home to find not just their SUV in my driveway, but another car as well. I was livid. I knocked on their door again, and when they answered, I pointed to the cars. "I asked you not to park in my driveway anymore," I said through gritted teeth. They rolled their eyes. "You're really making a big deal out of nothing. It's not like you're using the whole thing all the time." "I shouldn't have to explain this to you," I snapped. "Move the cars right now or I'll have them towed." "You wouldn't dare," they shouted. "Try me," I said, and walked back to my house. The next morning, I contacted a local towing company and explained the situation. I had clear documentation that it was my driveway, and I had given them multiple warnings to stop using it. When their SUV appeared in my driveway again later that day, I made the call. Watching their car get towed was oddly satisfying. Unsurprisingly, my neighbor was furious. They stormed over to my house, banging on my door and yelling about how I was a terrible neighbor. I opened the door and calmly said, "I warned you this would happen if you didn't respect my property. If you want your car back, you can pick it up from the tow yard." They threatened to report me to the HOA, but since there was no HOA in our neighborhood, it was an empty threat. After a few more days of dirty looks and passive-aggressive comments, they finally stopped parking in my driveway. Now my driveway's clear, and I no longer have to deal with their entitled attitude. Sometimes being neighborly doesn't pay. Good for you for setting firm boundaries, OP. Some people mistake kindness for weakness, and your neighbor seems like a great example of someone who pushes their luck until they hit a hard stop. Letting them use your driveway occasionally was already generous, but turning it into their personal parking lot without even asking is so entitled. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.